Boundaries. What they are, why you need them, and why they're important for your growth and success. Boundaries. You know, in my trainings, in my counseling sessions, one of the things that I talk about with almost every client of mine is boundaries. Many people struggle with boundaries. They don't know what they are. They feel like they need them. They don't know what to do with them a lot of the times. And not having those boundaries ends up leading to all types of just mishaps and unfortunate things and situations that people don't want to be in because the boundaries aren't there. Or they're misplaced, or they're not articulated correctly. So boundaries are important. You know, I have a concept called the ABCs of resiliency. You can find that down in the courses. Look in the description below. There's a course, there's an audio book that both talk about the ABCs of resiliency. And this is my framework that I believe that you may need to help you move forward in life. Again, what I do is I help people heal from the past, deal with the present, and build and grow and create for the future. So, check that course out because we go through the ABCs. But one of the ABCs is B, which is balance and boundaries. But we're going to talk about just the boundary part for today because boundaries are important. When people begin to heal, when people begin to deal with their stuff, they need to make sure that their boundaries are accurately identified and placed within their life. Because what ends up happening for a lot of people is when you start to get better, the people around you start to change because you're changing. And really, they're not changing. What's changing is the way that they respond to you. And the way that they respond to you is different than what it was prior to you changing because they understood you at one particular point in time. They understood you as a particular individual that used to do X, Y, and Z, but now you're doing A, B, and C, and you're shifting, and that shift has them responding to you very differently. So what ends up happening is you need to create boundaries for yourself because you will get sucked into a lot of negative conversations, gossip, body language is all funky. People don't want to associate with you no more. People ain't returning your calls, texts, emails. They ain't coming over your house no more because you acting funny. You acting different. And unfortunately, I see this with a lot of my clients is as they start to get better, as they start to work on their mental and emotional health, people around them start to change and then they start to act like something's wrong with them and then they want to stop working on themselves. They want to stop working on themselves because the people that were around them aren't treating them the same like they used to. So they're like, dang, they want them relationships to go back to how they were, even when they were, what? Dysfunctional. So even when they were dysfunctional, people rather deal with that dysfunction because it's comfortable rather than deal with the discomfort of growth. And that's why boundaries are important because you have to set those parameters for yourself. You have to set those parameters for yourself to continue to grow. Because if you don't set those parameters for yourself, you are going to end up having even worse relationships than you may have had before because you are seeking that unhealthy connection that you had with individuals when you were in that other state that you're in. So when you start to progress, move forward, advance in life, people start to respond to you different. And then you really start to see who really got your back, who's your true friends, who's really, your day one, who's really riding for you, because people don't want to see you different than where you are. And for the folks who do want to see you where you are, you want to champion those folks and bring them in within the boundary, right? Because you need that sense of support. You need that connection and that belonging with other people. But what ends up happening is a lot of folks start to just associate themselves differently with you. As a black man who is a professional black man, but I come from nothing. I come from WIC, food stamps, and Section 8. And roaches, mice, all that. Sugar water, cinnamon bread for lunch, dinner, pancakes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like this was my life. And being able to move forward and to social economically grow and excel to a different level and go to college and feel so out of place in a college setting. because I'm around all these white kids at the University of Minnesota, and I'm not saying that to be discriminatory. I'm saying that because that's a reality. That's a predominantly white institution, the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers, man. Like, there ain't a lot of black kids in that school at all, right? But we were there. So going to that environment and having to have boundaries there, and then moving to get a master's degree, and then moving to get a second master's degree, and then being a professional, and then winning prestigious awards. Like, I've been in so many different circles from where I started. I've had to maintain healthy boundaries, because as I continue to advance into this kind of social economic ladder, as I continue to move forward, my group, my demographics, my supports have shifted. Even though I maintain connections at every level, the shift has taken place, and I've had to have boundaries in each area. Because if I didn't have boundaries in each area, I would lose myself in that progression. I would literally lose myself in that progression. Because what I'm doing is what? I'm growing. I'm getting better. I'm not, quote unquote, acting white. I'm still a black man at the end of the day. I don't give a damn what somebody has to say about that. Never that. Right? Never that. But what I was doing was improving myself. And that, yes, that did put me in some white circles, but I always maintained who I was, and I always stayed true to myself. And guess what? That rubbed folks the wrong way in both environments, in all of those environments. Because I would stand strong, and I would talk from my perspective, and I would continue to be down for my people and be progressive for what we are, who we are, and what we stand on, because that's my boundary. And if I don't like it, I leave. Because that's my boundary. I don't want to deal with that. If you ain't down for what I'm down for, I don't need to be in this space. This ain't a space for Brandon. Brandon has to move on. And guess what? That's a boundary of mine, and I'm okay with that. They might not be okay with it, but I am, because I don't give a damn about if they're okay with it or not, because that's my boundary. You have to be able to set your boundaries. Boundaries protect you in a couple of different ways. These are the ways that boundaries protect you. Your boundaries protect your mental, your spiritual, your physical health. Right? Mental and emotional, you can put those two together. Mental, physical, spiritual health, that's how boundaries protect you. What you do with those boundaries is what they are. So mentally, I don't let people piss me off, okay? They do. Can't lie. I get pissed off. But what I do with that frustration, anger, being pissed off emotion is my boundary. I don't let it affect what I have to do. I don't let it get me off my purpose. I don't let it deter my mission. I don't let it stop or halt my goal, progress. I sit with it. I say, yeah, I didn't like what that person said. I don't like that individual. I don't like this condition that I'm in. I don't like this situation that we have to go through to get to, from point A to point B. I don't like it. But I'm still what? Purpose driven. And my purpose gives me the ability to set a boundary so that I don't let that affect where I'm going. So when you move forward, you don't have to deal with none of that stuff. When you have a strong boundary, you don't have to deal with none of that stuff. You take the emotion because your emotion is what? It is a reaction, is a response. I can't necessarily control what emotion I have, but I can control what I do with it. Right? So that's how you protect yourself mentally and emotionally when it comes to boundaries. Let's talk about spiritually, because it kind of shifts right into that, right? I know who I am. I know what divine presence and creator comes out of me. Okay? You might not know. You might need to figure that out for yourself. Whatever, your spiritual belief system may be, you better figure it out. Because when you do figure it out, you have to what? Set a boundary around it. And unfortunately, what ends up happening in today's society is a lot of us want to set that boundary on other people. But it's for you, not really for them. So you want to tell them how they need to be a good this and a good that, and this is not what these types of people do, and you reading out the wrong book, and you don't know the word. No. Cut all that out. That's not what the boundary's for. It's not for them. It's for you, so that whatever your belief system is, you hold it, you possess it, to keep you purpose-driven, mission-driven, and goal-driven. Because if you let them control it, who has the power in that situation? Obviously not you. So you are letting other people dictate everything that's going on. So that is your spiritual boundary, is keeping it within yourself, letting that divine presence, whatever it may be, flow through you, and not allowing other people to shift how it flows through you. Stop trying to change everybody and make people think the way you think. That's typical general psychology, social learning behavior. You want other people to think like you, so you try to influence and get them to conform so that they are like you and they're a good faith person like you. That is baloney. Don't do it. Let people figure out how they want to be spiritually so they can move forward on their own. But what's key is, how do you live your life from a spiritual place? You cannot have a divine presence within yourself if you're too busy worried about what everybody else is doing and how they heathens. You got to cut all that out. Okay? Cut it. And then lastly, physically. Physical boundaries are extremely important. You got to maintain safety. There's all types of threats out here. Not to scare anybody, not to make anybody paranoid, but people get hurt. There's stuff that happens. You have to have, vigilance. You have to pay attention to your surroundings. You got to be able to read body language. You got to implement social and emotional intelligence, which we'll talk about in another video. We'll talk about another video, okay? We'll talk about social and emotional intelligence. One of the 4 pillars of social emotional intelligence is what? Actually, let's talk about 2 of the pillars. Not talk about one, let's talk about 2 of them. Self-management and relationship management. Alright, so self-management talks about how do you maintain yourself in spaces. Right? Now, it takes a lot of self-awareness to do this, but you have to be able to maintain yourself in spaces. If you know that you get anxiety when you're around a particular type of people, you might want to stop being around them. It might be folks at your job. You can't stand them. They drive you crazy. Anxiety through the roof. Oh, if Margaret comes in here, she says one more thing. If Peter comes to my cube, it might be time to find a new line of work or a new place to work. And that's okay, but you have to be aware of that. You have to set that boundary that you're not going to let those folks come in your life interrupt your workflow so you can't get your job done. Right? The second one is relationship management. Let's say you can't shift your work environment. Let's say you stuck in that work environment and you got to deal with Margaret and Peter and all these other folks at your job. How do you change your dynamic of how you relate to those people so it doesn't bother you and get you what? Off your mission, off your purpose, off your goals. Your goals are what? Get that bag, get that check, get that work done, execute that project, whatever it is. That's your mission when you're on that 9 to 5 or whatever your shift may be, that 2 to 10, whatever it is. That's your mission. So you have to change how you interrelate to those people. I work with folks that I can care less about. I can care less about them, honestly. But guess what I do? I pay attention. I observe them. I check their body language. I see what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and I leverage those to what? To fit my mission, to fit my tribe, to fit my goals, to fit my purpose. Because they have a place and functionality at your job. They do. And you have to leverage them for what good they have so that you can keep moving forward. Now that sounds like some crazy hypnotism. It sounds like some manipulation, but it is. It's persuasion, and that's a key. And you know what? I'm gonna do a video on that too. Why not? You have to learn how to influence people to get what you need to get done. When you like them, when you don't like them, that's not the point. The point is for you to what? Move forward. Keep growing, keep going. That's it. And sometimes you got to learn how to do that with folks that you might not like. Or folks you do like. You love them to death, but they get on your nerves sometimes. You got to build boundaries with those folks too. But anyway, I just want to talk a little bit about boundaries today. Because it's important, because many of us, we really, really struggle with boundaries. If you're somebody who struggles with boundaries and you want some assistance from someone like me, you can go ahead, look down in the description, set up a session with me. We can chop it up. We can get your boundaries right. We can get your awareness right. We can get your strategies for your life right. And whatever other else type of help you may need, check the description, connect with me, And as always, be safe, be constructive, be elite, live life with purpose on purpose, and I'll holler at y'all in the next video. I'm out. Peace.